Hi, friends. Welcome to today's episode of Conversations on Wellness with me, Gina Hansen. And today I'm so blessed to have my girlfriend here, Stephanie Don, who's known as the Radiant Living Priestess. And I can't wait to find out why she calls herself that. How about you? If you're joining us on the replay, please comment below, tell us where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. Today, we're going to be talking about holistic approaches to cancer treatment. And a lot of you who are my friends know that I experienced cancer this year. And I also sought the help of alternative medicine as a part of my healing. And I learned so much. And my girlfriend here, Stephanie Don, she's going to be telling you more about her experience because she went to a different location in Mexico. And she'll be able to tell you so much more about her experience, which I found so inspiring. And that is my goal for this conversation, is to empower you all who are watching and to let you know that there are other answers that you can seek for your treatments. And also share this video if you know someone who has cancer. And on another very, 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 very important thing is this is not only about cancer. This is about everyday health maintenance, because we all have this cancer in our bodies. We might not know it yet. So how do we prepare ourselves to live a better life and learn the habits and the tools that we can use right now so that we can avoid it and we can actually shrink it and get rid of it from our bodies, which is more than just surgery, there's so many different tools. I can't wait for you to explain about this approach, Stephanie. Without further ado, this is my girlfriend, Stephanie Don. Yay! Throw up some hearts, everybody. Throw some hearts up.
Thanks, Gina. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor, truly.
Awesome. So let's start with how did you get that name? The Radiant Living Priestess.
Right. So it's a big name, and when it came to me, somebody was asking me, they asked me for a testimonial for their website, and they said, and what do you call yourself? And I was like, because it's changed over the years, right? And this was actually before the cancer diagnosis, and I came up with Radiant Living Priestess, because at that point, I had been working as a spiritual counselor and coach for over 20 years. And my interest was really moving away from business. I was a business coach for a long time, and towards health, as you know. And so I've always connected to the principle of radiance. And you can actually see behind me, or if I go, let's see, there.
There it is.
See that painting right behind me? It says Radiate Love. So I painted that like 16 years ago when my son was inside of me. And I had a website called Radiate Love. And I truly believe that radiance is who and what we are. It's essential to who we are. But we, based on our inputs, can dim the radiance, can dim the light. And so what I've learned over the last really, 5 years more intensely, but over the last several decades, is that I've always known about organic living, but I didn't really understand the degree to which we needed to be nourishing our body daily with nutrient dense food and superfood, etc. And so that's how it came to be. I just really connected to. Did we lose her? Am I the only one here now? Where'd you go, Gina?
I'm here. I just gave you the full spotlight. You're like,
Oh,
I was fooling around with the buttons, trying to fool around with it and figure out how to do that. So great. I'm new to this StreamYard, so I want to try to, so if somebody drops a comment right now, I can put your comment up there on the screen too. This is so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So I call myself a radiant living coach now, and I work with women. I've been a spiritual counselor and coach now for 2 decades, as I was mentioning. But when it comes to, work on the spirit, like I can do that, spiritual, emotional work. And then I also have learned so much about nutrition these past 5 years as well. So I work with women to really look at how they're nourishing their bodies with what they're putting into their bodies, body, mind, spirit.
Totally. I love it. Would you rather me be here with you? Oh, look, there we have somebody that
Yeah.
joined us and we can show them. There's Lori.
Lori?
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay, Lori's
Yeah, I'd rather
here.
see you because I couldn't see you before. And I'm like, where'd she go? And then I'm not talking to anybody.
Oh, yeah, no, you're talking to a lot of people. There's a lot of people watching right now.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so now this is a big, 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 big decision. You know, you hear that you have cancer and you're, you know, I mean, I don't know about you, but I felt like I was healthy. I mean, I was living a healthy life. And to get, you know, to get that diagnosis and to really decide what to do next, you know, and when I got my diagnosis, sorry, there's a mosquito that is flying around and I can't wait to nail it. Like he's like, I can't wait. So if you see it go like this, there's a mosquito. So
I think I heard him.
so I got this diagnosis right away. I know that the doctor was uncomfortable giving this diagnosis because he moved straight into, okay, we're gonna get you to the surgeon, we're gonna cut it out, you know, and in the meantime, he's like, this is the best cancer to have. And, you know, if I were to have cancer, this is what I would want. He's trying to like, you know, ease me up, but you know, and then he goes, we're sending you to a surgeon. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? Because you said this is a good cancer. And why are you wanting to cut it out right away? So I was at this point of denial and a little anger at him for trying to soften me up. And then, you know, the way that his approach upset me, I was interpreting it badly at the time, you know? And so making that decision for me was more of an avoidance. Like, I'm not doing what they're going to say because I don't believe this path. And also I just knew that there was more, you know, because you and I, you know, we've worked with in wellness and we know that there's plant medicine and so many other facets to our health besides our physical body that work together hand in hand to make us healthy, truly healthy. And it's not just the physical sign of cancer. There's actually an emotional, mental aspect to it too. So for me, that was how I made my decision. It was I went from my thoughts, which was, he said, this is what we're doing in my thoughts. And then I sunk into my heart and I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm called to the direction I'm called to do. So now I want to hear from you, because this is not about me. This is about you. How did you make that decision to seek treatment in Mexico?
Mm-hmm. Well, so I've been an alternative chick in regards to health for many decades. And I think it came from being in the allopathic model as a child. I received all the vaccines as a child, and then lo and behold, you know, I started having epilepsy. So I believe there's a connection there between my 7 years of epilepsy and the toxins in the vaccines. Like, I wasn't able to chelate the mercury out of my body that was in those vaccines. And so consequently, I took pharmaceuticals for 7 years. And so I was in that whole world, and Gina, I hated it. I hated it. I hated having blood drawn. I hated needles. I hated the EEGs. I hated being in the hospital. I hated everything about it. So as an adult, when I was more sovereign and could make decisions for myself, I moved here to the States from Canada. Up in Canada, I was paying $3 a month for my healthcare, and I got everything, including dental. And then I come down here and it's so expensive. I'm like, that just pushed me even more alternative. And so for most of my adult life in California, you know, I was in the land of fruits and nuts. I was like full on alternative gal. So when it came, plus keep in mind, I'd been a spiritual practitioner all those years. I've been working to mitigate and transcend fear for so many years with my clients and in my own life, that when it came to getting the cancer diagnosis, I wasn't going to let that land on me and have what they think is right for me be the way. Knowing what I know and what I'd already been through as an adult woman in my own life and, you know, in my own health journey. So Pretty immediately, I did go to see an oncologist in Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles, and she immediately wanted me in chemotherapy and hormone blockers and everything. And I was like, no,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
A dear friend of mine who's in our superfoods community
Mhm.
messaged me as soon as she knew that I had the diagnosis. And well, actually, she heard about Hope for Cancer that morning and then thought, "Oh, Stephanie's probably gonna be overwhelmed with places to go and things to do, and, like, I'm not gonna message her." And then
Mhm.
she sees another ad for Hope for Cancer on Facebook that day, and she's like, "Okay, that's my sign.
Mhm.
I'm sending this to Stephanie." So she sends it to me, and I was completely enthralled with what they were offering there and just the whole way in which Hope for Cancer for me, it's all about consciousness, Gina. So
Mhm.
the consciousness of what I was witnessing on their site, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I was a full blooded yes. And I've learned to listen to that kind of thing. It's like because I function a lot in the world realm of frequency, so resonance and dissonance. So when I get a full bodied yes, I listen. And so I shared the link with my sister Stacy, who was my side by for the entire time that I was with Hope for Cancer. And I sent her the link. We were looking at it together. And I said, I think this is what I want to do. And then after like an hour or two, she texts me back. She's like, let's do it. So I think within like 10 days, I was in Mexico.
That's awesome. Did she go with you for your
Yeah.
treatments? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome.
She went with me for each trip. And well, for the
Mhm.
for the first experience is 3 weeks at Hope for Cancer. And she came for the first week. My stepmom came for the second week, and my birth mom came for the third week. So I had 3 family members with me in Tijuana. And similar to what you went through, because I followed your whole journey on Facebook, I was, Hope for Cancer is like a hive of anti-cancer protocols and therapies. It's just buzzing all day long, and everyone's happy and smiling, and um, and really there for you. Like I felt very served. And as a woman and a mother, like I've never been that cared for in my entire life. And so it was profound for me to receive. I mean, that's really been the gift of cancer, Gina, is like
Mhm.
the ability to receive, to open and receive, because I was like, thoroughly modern Millie with a bunch of businesses and making a lot of money and looking after my kids and, in a divorce, so there was just like a lot going on in my life when the cancer diagnosis came. And
Mhm.
um, and then I just like slowed right down. I stopped all my businesses. And I was like, okay, it's about healing now and it's about receiving from others. And I let myself receive. And it was really beautiful. And I think that it was also very affirming for me being at Hope for Cancer because Dr. Tony Jimenez is the founder of the center, and he wrote a book called Hope for Cancer. What do you know? And I wish I had it here. I could have grabbed it. Um, it it's really that whole body, mind, spirit approach, which was so mirroring my entire life because I don't just look at the physical. It's all about, I go beyond the physical and I go beyond what's being seen and what's being said in my coaching, my counseling over the years. And so I really appreciated how it was deeply spiritual, a lot of God talk at Hope for Cancer and within that book, which was great for me. And all organic food, juicing, supplements, so many healing, detoxing therapies like the hyperthermia, the hyperbaric oxygen, the infrared saunas and lamps, a lot of light technologies they're using at Hope for Cancer,
Mhm.
which I thought was so cool. PEMF, pulse electric magnetic frequency. What are some of the other things that I did there? Vitamin D, got into the sun every single day,
Mhm.
That's become a huge practice for me because I cannot believe, Gina, that I lived in California and my vitamin D level was at a 10 when I arrived at Hope for Cancer. And
Wow.
it's supposed to be between 80 and 100, right? So that was a big wake up call. So I've increased my, last time I was at Hope4Cancer, it's now at a 60. So I've still got a ways to go. I live in the Pacific Northwest now, so there's not as much sun as there was in Cali, um, but I'm acutely aware of my immune system, what's feeding it and what's not feeding it. So it's been a massive education for me, Gina.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about vitamin D being super huge, especially now with the pandemic. And even for me living in Hawaii with all the sunshine, and I do go outside, my levels were very low. And that's one of the warnings of, like your immune system is not functioning properly. There could be potentially, something could happen to
Yeah.
us, disease wise. So
The
it's
other
very
thing I want
important
to
to look at
say,
that.
it is.
Mhm,
And the other thing I want to say that really helped me not handle the diagnosis with a lot of fear is
mhm,
that prior to the diagnosis, I was working with health coaches, cellular detox and regeneration coaches, one coach in particular, and
mhm,
then another one after the diagnosis, who really helped me to understand that cancer in the body is an issue with the terrain, the inner terrain of the body. It's mitochondrial dysfunction. And mitochondrial dysfunction can be handled with nutrition and supplements and lifestyle change and, mitigating stress in your life and all of that. So she really helped me to understand that. I really learned that from her. And that's really kept me going, to understand that the body's a miracle.
mhm.
The body's a
Totally.
miracle, and the body always wants to help us get well, always. And she helped me learn that. The body is similar to like how my spiritual teacher used to say that God is always working together for your good, Stephanie Dawn. And the same thing is true of our bodies, is that our bodies are always trying to help us as well. So what did it do for me? It took all the cancer and it put it into the pocket of a tumor, and this is why biopsies are they're so controversial, because biopsies can get in there, poke the tumor, and then the cancer can get into the bloodstream. And, that's a whole nother conversation, really. But
Yeah.
and different with what you're dealing with. I'm dealing with breast cancer diagnosis. But how are you feeling? I don't know how are you?
Oh, you're so funny. You're turning this conversation on me.
I'm returning it because we haven't talked. Like, are you doing okay?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to see my oncologist, and so that's the thing is before when I was diagnosed, they went straight into treatment without. I didn't have any knowledge of what I was dealing with. I didn't have an oncologist. I didn't have any information about what cancer was or, these different things. So I feel that having that support system in place would have been good to have, this instead of just directly going to a surgeon. So I would suggest, to anyone watching, get opinions, see different people, because you can put your own puzzle together yourself,
Yes.
and make what works for you. So similar to you, Stephanie, when I went to Mexico, I went to Sanoviv Medical Institute, and I also felt so much love. I mean, it was like the I think part of the healing was this place of peace that I went to,
Mhm.
and it was just beautiful. It was on the ocean, and just to have that environment
Yeah.
of being alone with myself, watching the sunrise and the sunset, and just having so much gratitude and love for the life that I've had. That is part of the healing. That is part of the healing. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. It
you
really
know
is. I mean, it's a wake-up call. A diagnosis is a wake-up call to like really for you to look at and decide. And this had never happened to me. Like I'd never had any um I'd never questioned whether to stay or go or, and all of a sudden the cancer diagnosis is like, okay, so what are you doing here? Do you really want to be here? And, and how are you gonna make it, if you're gonna stay, how are you gonna make it good? So that was really my dark night of the soul happened about a year ago, August 2019, when I was really
Mhm.
looking at that. And I'd never really gone there before. I'd always been so optimistic and so positive, and obviously I made the decision to stay, but I had to go to that darker place of really looking at my life and taking stock and doing a lot of forgiveness work, lot of forgiveness work. That's, that's been really key for me, for myself and towards others. And so, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
grateful. I'm grateful for the journey, to be honest with you. It's brought me closer to who I am. It's brought me closer to my family.
Mhm.
Um, I now feel like my journey, my path can really help others because, as you know, Gina, the allopathic pathway with a cancer diagnosis is very well publicized. And our pathway is not. People think we're crazy. And I'm of another mind. It's like the allopathic pathway to heal cancer is not, I can't even, it doesn't compute for me in terms of how that could help someone. And I'm not that impressed with their success rates, to be honest, either with the allopathic model. So I really feel like we have a lot of power in our own hands with our understanding our own immune system, understanding how we're creating the environment for cancer to grow or not.
Right, right. I agree with you. And another thing is, when this is something that's personal to me though, when I think of cancer, and a lot of people who don't have cancer, who've never had cancer, but who have been touched by it, by a loved one or something, or even if they've had it, but when people say cancer sucks, for me, I looked into that. When I had it, and I realized the cancer is me. How can I say something so bad to myself? This is part of me, and so instead of thinking those thoughts, it sucks, it doesn't, it's turning that and realizing this is my opportunity to really love myself, like love it completely, flaws and all. And so when I hear that, I realize that a lot of people have a hard time feeling that way and seeing it the way that I do. But going through it, that was motivation to me to actually raise my vibration, instead of feeling like the victim, like cancer got me. It's a whole mindset shift of being the victim to taking responsibility and empowering yourself to see it and also heal it, because I created this cancer in my body. I know how I created it, and now I am working to become the higher version of myself by seeing that and becoming the person that I'm supposed to be because of it. So
Yeah.
it was a message to me. It was a message to me to stop and love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. And I mean, there's so many facets to this health, isn't it? I mean, besides I got a high dose vitamin C when I was in Mexico and things. Yet more than the physical part, there is that emotional and that mental part of it that a lot of people it's just not being addressed. When someone has cancer, they're not seeing the whole body, the whole
So
body approach.
I just want to share with you an experience that I had down there because
Mhm.
it's remarkable to me that this isn't discussed up here in the US.
Mhm.
So when I went to go get an MRI and a CT scan, because I was having really bad headaches, Gina, this kind of predated the diagnosis actually. And I'm still looking into it. I believe it's heavy metal toxicity. But anyways,
Mhm.
there was a bunch of really intense neurological activity, migraines, etc., happening for me in this side of my head and behind my left eye. And so we went and got the MRI and the CT scan. And the minute I get back, my doctor writes up a plan for no less than 5 IVs of selenium and this nutrient IV called poly MVA, nutrient dense IV, and that I had to do over 5 days. And I was like, 5 IVs? Like, really? He goes, yeah, really. Is there a problem? And I said, no, there's no problem. I said, I just want to make sure that it's needed. He goes, Stephanie, let me put it this way. If you were my sister, I'd be putting you on these IVs to detox the contrast, Gina, from the MRI and the CT scan. That isn't even remotely addressed up here. And people get PET scans and CT scans and MRIs all the time up here. And
Mhm.
in Mexico, we're detoxing them
Oh my God, girl. I got my fillings taken out, my mercury fillings taken out in Mexico. And the way that they do it there, the holistic approach to dentistry, that whole process, which I had never even thought of before, it's so, I mean, you can get it done here. There are holistic doctors, but I had never had one my entire life. And after I had those fillings taken out, right away, like you said, they take me into the room, like this room where they have all of these gadgets, all of these electronics that help detox your body. These lights that actually go into your body, and they heal you. It's just magic, you know?
Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
because I had so many friends that thought I was crazy for going to Mexico, and I'm like, no, you guys, Mexico's got it going on down there when it comes to health. And why people aren't talking about, like, why is it illegal for them to do that kind of work up here? Like, let's have that conversation. Most of these people are in Mexico because they've been run out of the United States, you know?
Yeah.
So it's there's a whole history around doctors who have fled the United States. Gerson, Hoxie.
Mhm.
When you start getting into it, like eyes wide open, it's pretty, yeah. I'm so grateful that Mexico is doing what it's doing down there for so many people that have serious health issues like cancer and on and on. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about it, I'm just like a full on yes, go. You know,
Yes.
a lot of people go to Hope for Cancer and they're like, it's their last hope. And I went and it was my first hope. And here I am, still got all my hair, no further metastasis, tumors are shrinking. Like, I'm feeling great.
Yes. Yeah, I hear you, and it does take a lot of support too. I'm sure you have your sister and your family around you, because that support system helps you keep going, because it is a process. When you decide to take on your responsibility of your health, there are costs, financial costs involved, because now you are paying for, different supplements and different nutritional aids, and things, so many that aren't, that's a whole nother show when we just talk about that. But I mean, and then there's a time effort, like doing the colon hydrotherapy cleanses, and all of that. So you need a lot of support around you. Juicing is another thing, just one little thing that could take a while. So
Yeah,
it's something to consider too.
yeah. Yeah, support is everything. It was very meaningful to me. I had so much support. I had a very successful GoFundMe that was like jaw-dropping how many people gave. And again, the whole receiving energy, right? It's like I could do it all for myself before, and to open and just allow others to do for me was a big spiritual lesson for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you know, going to where you went and to where I went, it is costly, and but from what I've seen in terms of comparisons for chemo, radiation, and surgery, doesn't even remotely compare.
Mhm.
So um, so it's what happens is, people just get a lot of bills that they can't pay when it comes to chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, um,
Mhm.
and you can't do that in Mexico. You have to pay when you show up.
Mhm.
So yeah, we've got a long way to go here in this country when it comes to health and understanding health.
Mhm.
And I'm really glad we're having this conversation, Gina, because things are a little bit crazy out there in the United States, in terms of what's going on with the coronavirus and the vaccine that's coming, and the whole concept of injecting health, which I don't believe in. I just don't believe that. I believe that we can do things that foster an immune response that is positive, but for me, that's not about an injection. It's very
Mhm.
different with the IVs, because the IVs are coming into the blood, and they're working to kill the cancer cells. And but with all my research around vaccinations, I think buyer beware. That's all I'm going to say. Buyer beware.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, that's a whole different topic that we should come back and talk about one day,
Yes.
because
Let's
That
have a
is
lot to
something.
say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think more people need to be empowered about what's really going on and what's not making the news, that's being swept under the carpet as, hush hush, so much.
Yeah.
But what I did want to say is, being that you and I are in this superfoods community,
Yes.
what I learned is that what we have been doing for the last couple of years, is exactly on target.
I know.
Detoxification is key. Green juice, I mean, they would give it to us every day. Like, we'd
I
go down
know.
and they'd make it fresh for us, and we would have chlorella shots and wheatgrass every day. And the people that I was with are not into that, not used to that lifestyle. So they'd be tasting it and they're like, ooh, they hold in their nose and I'm like, yes, it tastes so good. Can I have your shot for you?
I know, I know.
Yeah.
It's, the more I go on down this road here, the more I realize, Gina, that there's an urgent need for all of us to detox every day. And I'm in a heavy metal detox right now, utilizing our products. But there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not so grateful for what we have. So grateful for what we have, Gina, with our superfoods.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. For detoxing, but also all the anti-cancer properties. Some of the things that, well, maybe we should do another, maybe we should do another things that we use, because that might really help people, right? Like, because I have a whole
Totally.
protocol of products that I use, and it may be a benefit. So maybe another time we could do that.
Oh, that sounds great, because I also, when I came home and I had to adjust to the life at home without an oncologist, or, all of these things, because they didn't set me up with it, and figuring out how I was going to apply the information that I learned in Mexico here,
Yeah.
and find the holistic, the doctors and the
Mhm.
places that I could go for service. That was one of the things that I learned is, this, making this transition. And what I wanted to say about that is, I'm so happy that you've become a coach. You actually help people in this path. And so I wanted to let everyone know to go and check out your website, stephaniedon.com.
Yeah.
And you've had so much knowledge that you have shared, and especially want to tell people to look at your blog, the one that you wrote last month, where you talk about the different protocols that you've incorporated and you've learned to put into your lifestyle. So
Mhm. It's a long
yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think I'd coach again, Gina, to be
Mhm.
honest with you, but you know, it's what God wants me to do. I'm clear about that because people keep messaging me. And so
I was one of them. I was like, hey, I need your help. I need your guidance. This is what I'm going to do. What do you think?
yeah,
Because,
I did, a-
and
I
I,
did, well, I
no,
just want
I,
to I did a lot of that for free, happily so, happily so, I
mhm,
talked to a lot of people for free. And then but somebody reached out to me and they're like, "No, I want to work with you." And I'm like,
mhm,
"Okay, that involves like fee structures and like what am I willing to give and do and how much
yeah.
time am I willing to put into it?" So it took some work for me to like open to, oh, I'm going to coach again. Okay. So, but it's totally what God wants. I received the call and I'm answering in the affirmative. So,
Awesome. Well, you are such a blessing and a light to the world. And I am so grateful for you. I mean, when I had this diagnosis, you were the one that I thought of right away. And now I see in my experience, my friends turn to me, as well. And it's like this reciprocity dance, when we are able to support each other in life,
yeah,
in having the best freaking life of our lives.
exactly. That's what I'm committed to.
Yeah. More joy, more vibrancy.
More
Yes.
joy. Bring it. Yeah.
Yes. So
Beautiful, Tina. Mm.
thank you so much for your time today, Stephanie Don. And
Yeah.
I want, once again, if you're watching the replay, check out her website, stephaniedon.com, and you will get the tips and tricks from her there in her blog.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful day, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Aloha.